The 2010s continued the streak of quality television. Hey guys, it's Phoebe with Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 TV shows of the decade.
Actually, I can hear everything. You are both extremely loud. You think you have evil Russians plotting against our country on tape, and you're trying to translate, but you haven't figured out a single word because you didn't realize the Russians use an entirely different alphabet than we do.
We're taking a look at the greatest TV shows released between 2010 and 2019. They have to had premiered after 2010, so Breaking Bad will not be considered, and no animated shows like Rick and Morty. Let's get to it. Number 10, Barry.
Leroy Jenkins!
Well, this isn't quite what we expected from Bill Hader, but alright. Barry is Hader's comedy drama, and it follows the titular Barry, a hitman who wants nothing more than to leave his criminal past behind and become a full-time actor.
You know how you and I talk all the time about my purpose?
You think acting could be your purpose?
The show shares a lot in common with Breaking Bad, as it contains similar themes and tones, not to mention the whole idea of a man hiding his true identity from those who are closest to him. Of course, this is also much funnier than Breaking Bad ever was, given it's more a dark comedy than a drama. It's also packed with incredible actors, including Emmy-winning performances from Hader and Henry Winkler. It comes highly recommended.
What do you got there?
Oh, I've got an audition tomorrow. I'm an actor.
It's all mine.
Number 9, Westworld.
Have you ever lied to us?
No.
Last question, Dolores. Have you ever hurt a living thing?
No.
HBO needed another event show following Game of Thrones. Enter Westworld, a unique Western/sci-fi blend that tells the story of a robot uprising in a Western-themed amusement park. The show is impeccably produced, complete with gorgeous visuals and amazing production design. Luckily, there's also an intriguing and mystery-tinged story to boot, and Westworld quickly became the lost of the 2010s as forums and social media sites were flooded with theories and discussion.
I really ought to thank you, Dolores.
Despite criticism that Season 2 may have been a bit too convoluted for its own good, it's nevertheless remained must-watch event television, and one of HBO's finest efforts in years.
I know things will work out the way they're meant to.
Number 8, Fleabag.
I'm just gonna ask her. I'm just gonna come.
Do you need to borrow money?
No. Can't do it.
Between Fleabag and Killing Eve, Phoebe Waller-Bridge had herself a fantastic and very prosperous decade. And while both shows are great, it's Fleabag that is often showered with the praise and accolades. Waller-Bridge plays Fleabag, a neurotic woman trying to live her life and having lots of sex in modern London. And while the show sounds like a traditional sitcom, Waller-Bridge's instantly memorable performance and intelligent writing helped turn it into must-watch TV. It never generated endless theories on Reddit, and it didn't wow us with an expensive production.
Here we go.
Sorry, what's happened?
Nothing's happened. What's happened? Something's happened.
Come on.
Spit it out.
No secrets here.
It's a good time to say.
It's just a funny, heartwarming, and well-told story, and we can all use a little bit more of that. Number 7, Chernobyl.
It doesn't matter. What does matter is that to them, justice was done.
If you do want to be wowed by an incredible production, it doesn't get much better than Chernobyl. This show accurately recreates the horrifying Chernobyl disaster and its brutal aftermath, including the complex cleanup and unimaginable deaths.
Means the fire we're watching with our own eyes is giving off nearly twice the radiation released by the bomb in Hiroshima.
Even though it doesn't fall under the umbrella of horror, Chernobyl is one of the scariest shows ever made, as it quite accurately depicts a literal living nightmare. Pits of pure radioactivity, painful deaths of loved ones and animals, and enough body horror to satiate even the most gore-hungry among us. It's all there, and it's all depicted with impeccable craft and talent. It was arguably the most acclaimed TV event of 2019, and yet another win for the behemoth that is HBO.
And this, at last, is the gift of Chernobyl. Where I once would fear the cost of truth, now I only ask, What is the cost of lies?
Number 6. Better Call Saul.
I'm Saul Goodman, and I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. It's never too late for justice.
When viewers heard about Better Call Saul, most let out a collective moan. An unnecessary prequel to one of the greatest shows ever made, and a show about Saul of all characters.
Law offices of James McGill, how may I direct your call? Yes, Mrs. Kettleman, so good of you to return.
Luckily for us, the show obliterated all of our admittedly low expectations, offering a program just as well acted, shot, and written as its predecessor.
You care to elaborate?
Of course, it's nothing like its predecessor, as it forgoes the endless tension, excitement, and violence of Breaking Bad in favor of a more introspective character study. Some critics and viewers prefer this approach, and some have even called it better than Breaking Bad. Regardless, it's an extraordinary companion piece and a compelling show in its own right.
Call me. I hot-footed over here. I just happened to be driving by. I stopped to see what the trouble is, and this is the most important part. You don't know me. We've never met.
Number 5. The Americans.
Maybe this is the perfect time for us just to think about living the life we've been living, but just really living it.
It's clear that Breaking Bad has been an enormous influence on the decade's television. And as is with Barry, there are comparisons to be made with The Americans.
Pleased to meet you.
Likewise.
I leave you two to get acquainted. There is so much to talk about.
It follows 2 Soviet spies pretending to be a married American couple in suburban Washington. And wouldn't you know it, their neighbor works counterintelligence for the FBI.
You're spies? We serve our country, but we also serve the cause of peace around the world.
The show contains all the excitement and glorious cat and mouse tension you'd expect, but it also serves as a contemplative look at marriage and self-identification. The fact that it can so effortlessly balance the 2 tones and genres is amazing, and both Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys turn in wonderful performances. This flew under the mainstream radar for most of its run, but it's already a cult classic.
We had a job to do. We had a job to do.
Number 4. The Leftovers. Hypes were high for The Leftovers, Damon Lindelof's first television project since Lost, and while Lost fizzled out, many people were willing to forgive and see what he had in store. Luckily, they were not disappointed. The series is adapted from Tom Perotta's novel of the same name and contains the leftovers on Earth who are, well, left over after 2% of the population mysteriously disappears.
He ended up writing a book? Oh, right. Right, yeah, didn't read it. I assume he didn't mention me.
The subject matter makes for difficult viewing, as it painfully delves into the complexities of the human psyche, but those who stick around will be infinitely rewarded with some of the best acting and writing in television history. It's a masterpiece in every sense of the word, but it's certainly not for everyone.
Did you ask for my help, Kevin?
Yes.
This is me helping.
Number 3. Stranger Things.
You guys hear that?
Netflix's flagship series Stranger Things transported audiences to Hawkins, Indiana for a classic sci-fi horror and more 80s references than you can shake a stick at. Steeped in the works of Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, John Carpenter, and other genre masters, the Duffer Brothers series gained an instant following and quickly became a cultural phenomenon.
This isn't some Lord of the Rings book.
It also managed to kickstart and reinvigorate several acting careers and pick up plenty of accolades along the way, including 5 Primetime Emmy wins and 4 Golden Globe nominations. With its wonderful cast and a story that feels both new and familiar at the same time, it's a show that consistently provides just about the most fun you can have in front of a TV.
Hey, oh.
Number 2. Atlanta. The premise behind Atlanta is welcoming. The consistently enjoyable Donald Glover plays a struggling young man who decides to manage his cousin's budding rap career. Only the show is so much more than that, and frankly, it's quite hard to accurately describe.
$1.49? But the price on the can, though.
The price is on the can, though.
Glover himself has called it Twin Peaks with rappers, and that's certainly an accurate description. The show veers wildly between surrealist comedy, hard-hitting personal drama, introspective character study, nightmarish horror, and a thematic look into the social media-obsessed hip-hop culture.
Hey, Marcus Miles is pretty cool, man. You know he got that invisible car. What?
It's original, it's fresh, and above all, it somehow remains consistently enjoyable despite its peculiar trappings. It's one of the most bizarre yet rewarding TV shows we've ever seen. Atlanta is one of those shows you just have to see to believe. Before we unveil our #1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
I'll see you again in 25 years. Meanwhile,
there's no way that you could have mistaken Dylan for someone else. You're positive it was Dylan.
No, it was definitely Dylan Maxwell.
From the day he came forward, Alex Trimboli had one story. A consistent story. And it made the school board's case against Dylan clean and simple.
Go back!
I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Okay, what's that mean?
Means I'm bad at parties.
You see, in The Good Place, every person gets to live in a home that perfectly matches his or her true essence.
Cool. So I guess that's why my house, for example, is this adorable little cottage, whereas other people might have homes that are bigger. Like that one.
Exactly.
Who else knows about the money?
Nobody. Nothing to know.
Must be something. Or he wouldn't be blackmailing you.
Well, nobody knows.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. #1, Game of Thrones.
So long as I am your king, treason shall never go unpunished. Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
When it comes to event television, few shows compare to Game of Thrones. This show helped bridge the gap between TV and film, as it contained a stellar cast and the greatest production values ever seen on TV. Game of Thrones told a highly complex and intriguing story, full of twists and shocking developments, and it was fascinating to watch its popularity rise throughout the years. While it started slow, interest in the show slowly began to rise until it became the decade's biggest TV event, breaking all sorts of viewership records, launching careers, and promoting endless discussion on forums and social media sites. It didn't quite stick the landing, but it provided us with 8 years of peak TV.
Why do you think I came all this way?
Game of Thrones may have had a disappointing ending, but that doesn't mean that overall it was fantastic. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments or tweet me at Phoebe_WM. And check out this video.